The wicked king of Ekangbe. Long ago, there was a powerful kingdom called Ekangbe. Ekangbe was once ruled by King Osulames the Just, a man known far and wide for his wisdom and fairness. But after his mysterious death, his son, Aghogho, took over. And from that day forward, Ekangbe began to sink into darkness. Aghogho was not like his father. From his youth, he had been arrogant and cruel, while his mates were learning the art of farming, wrestling, and leading with grace. Aghogho spent his days chasing women, killing small animals for sport, and mocking the poor. After his father's sudden death, he assumed the throne with a wicked smirk. On the day of his coronation, he said, "I am not here to serve Ekangbe. Ekangbe exists to serve me." The elders were shocked, but no one dared to speak. Within his first year as king, Aghogho raised taxes tenfold, ordered the heads of anyone who questioned his rule, took any maiden he fancied as a wife, regardless of whether she was betrothed, seized farmlands and handed them to his friends and warriors. He built a golden throne for himself and surrounded it with skulls of those he executed. His laughter echoed through the palace every night, while the villagers cried themselves to sleep. In Ekangbe, there was a sacred grove known as Onyinye, where the spirits of the land dwelled. Only the chief priest and selected elders were allowed entry, and even then, only with offerings and clean hearts. One day, driven by greed, Aghogho sent his guards to cut down the ancient yucca tree, which stood at the center of Onyinye. It was said that as long as the tree stood, Ekangbe would remain protected. The moment the tree fell, the skies darkened. Thunder cracked without rain. The rivers began to dry up, and famine spread like wildfire. The yams rotted in the ground. Children fell sick and died. The high priest, Weary, crawled to the palace and shouted, "Aghogho, you have brought a curse upon Ekangbe. Restore the sacred grove, or the gods will consume us all." Aghogho kicked the old man down the palace steps and ordered his tongue cut out. That night, the sky bled red, and strange sounds came from the forest. Among the people of Ekangbe was a young hunter named Onyinye, son of a farmer and a healer. He had seen his younger sister taken by the king's guards, never to be seen again. He had watched his father whipped to death for refusing to give up his land. Fueled by rage and guided by dreams from his ancestors, Onyinye began gathering others who had lost something to the king. They formed a secret group called Onyinye, meaning those who endure. Onyinye included Aghogho the blacksmith, who made enchanted weapons; Idian the widow, who brewed deadly poisons; Aghogho, a silent warrior from the north who had once been betrayed by kings; and Onyinye, a beautiful girl who had once escaped the palace and now vowed to bring it down. They trained in the forest, learned the paths of spirits, and grew in numbers. One night, the Onyinye burned the king's warehouse, releasing food to the starving people. The next night, they freed young girls chained in his dungeon. Aghogho roared with fury. He ordered the death of 10 villagers for every crime the Onyinye committed. He sent spies to infiltrate them, but none returned. The people began to chant in whispers, "Onyinye is hope. Onyinye is truth." Fear crept into Aghogho's eyes for the first time. He called for his native doctor, Aghogho the Crooked, who conjured spirits with dead children's bones. Together, they summoned an army of the undead, soulless warriors with no eyes and no pain. But the Onyinye had been blessed by the spirits of Onyinye. Onyinye carried the ashes of the yucca tree on his body. When the undead army came, they melted like wax. One stormy night, Onyinye marched on the palace. They were no longer few, they were thousands. Farmers, women, warriors, even children. The guards of Aghogho fled or dropped their weapons. Onyinye burst into the palace with fire in his eyes. Aghogho stood in his golden robe, trying to hide behind Aghogho the Crooked. But the spirits had turned against them. Lightning struck the palace roof. The ground split. Aghogho's body burst into flames. Aghogho tried to run, but Onyinye caught him. "This is for my sister," she whispered and plunged her blade into his heart. The skulls that lined his throne cracked and crumbled. The throne itself shattered. The people danced in the rain that followed. The land, at last, began to heal. Omajawa did not take the throne. He rebuilt the sacred grove and placed Onyinye and the elders in charge of guiding Ekangbe. The new leadership ruled with wisdom and humility. The yucca tree grew again, taller and stronger. Festivals returned. The rivers flowed, and children laughed once more. But in the center of the market square, they built a statue, not of Omajawa, not of Onyinye, but of a skull with a broken crown, to remind all who came after. Let no king forget, power belongs to the people.